Hello, English 11, Mr. Nass here to talk about your summative assessment for Unit 1 today. So let's take a look at the different parts and walk through the directions of how to complete it. Here I am in Schoology in our Unit 1 folder. Scroll all the way to the bottom. We see our summative assessment folder. So you're watching the instruction video now and you're going to complete the summative assessment and submit when you're done. There are two parts to the summative assessment. I'm going to start here in the first link, which is the summative directions. This document is only for giving you the instructions. You don't need to do anything on this document. It just tells you what you need to complete. So let's take a look. During this unit, we read and analyzed many poems by Rupi Kaur from her poetry book, Milk and Honey. For this summative, you will create a pastiche, which is a literary work that imitates the style of previous work. In this case, we're focusing on the style of Rupi Kaur. So you're going to create your own poetry in the style or mimicking the style of Rupi Kaur. You'll write a collection of poems in the style of Rupi Kaur. Then you will pick two of Kaur's poems and compose an analysis of how Kaur's poems communicate a global issue using literary devices. Let's talk about part 1 first. This is the collection of poems that you are creating. You will submit 4 to 6 poems that match the style of Rupi Kaur. At least 2 poems must also include an original image that connects. You don't need to write about the same topics as Kaur does, but keep in mind that the stylistic and authorial choices and tone should still match Kaur's. So your poem should resemble hers, but you don't have to write about the same things that she writes about. That's important to remember. Also, from lesson 7, you wrote 3 poems, and so you can use 2 of those poems that you've already created and bring them into your summative collection. Here are some things to think about when you think about the style and what you're trying to copy about what Rupi Kaur does. Think about line breaks and white space in her writing. Think about her tone, her mood, and her diction, or the words that she chooses. Think about capitalization and punctuation, formatting, and all the poetic devices we've gone through in this unit. That is part 1. So you'll create this collection of poems. I'll show you where you will upload those poems in just a moment. Part 2 is responding to a global issue, and now you're actually looking at Rupi Kaur's poems. Not yours, you're looking at her work, and you're going to show the ways in which a global issue that you choose is presented through her poetry. And you'll use evidence from at least 2 poems to support your thesis. So what global issues presented through her works, and what stylistic choices does she make to convey the message? And you'll write 2 paragraphs, 5 to 7 sentences, to explain your response for part 2. So those are the directions. Let me show you what the documents look like that you'll be creating. This is the assessment you'll complete. And here we go. Basically, the first part, because it's poetry that you're going to create, it's blank. You're filling these pages with your poetry. We give you 6 pages, but you have to write 4 to 6 poems. One poem for each page. You have to have hand-drawn images with at least 2 of your poems. So just take a picture with your phone, upload it, copy it, paste it onto the doc. And that's the first part. So the first part is just blank, where you create your poems. The second part is your global issue analysis. And so you choose 2 poems from this collection. And this collection is a link to a slideshow. And the slideshow is just Rupi Kaur poetry that we've decided you can choose from. So there are, I believe, 10 poems on here that you can choose from. It's totally up to you which ones you decide. And those will be what you're analyzing. And then you write your 2 paragraphs answering the questions. This is the same as the instruction sheet. Please include the titles of the 2 poems that you're including in your analysis so we know which ones you're drawing from. And then right here we have some sentence frames. We have some good sentence frames to use here. And we also have some good verbs to use when you talk about what Rupi Kaur is doing as an author. Words like discuss, illustrate, demonstrate, signify, and things like that. So feel free to use these as much as you like, and then you'll write your 2 paragraphs down in this box here. We've also linked the Writing a Global Issue document that you should have been using throughout the unit, which talks about global issues, how to write about them, and fields of inquiry. Once you've done both your own poetry and your global issue analysis, you can submit this assignment as your summative for the unit. The only other link in the folder is a link to the collection of poems, which is the same slideshow that I just showed you. It's just a different link. Those are the poems that you're choosing from to analyze. All right, that is your summative assessment. Don't forget it's worth 80% of your grade as a summative, as part of the summative category, and that will mean that the 20% weight is for the formatives, which are all the mastery checks that you've done so far in this unit. All right. I hope this is a good way for you to wrap it up. Use your knowledge that you've gained through all of the different lessons, and we'll see you soon.